Hello, everyone. We are CBSI Presents Tales from the Flipside, and this is comicbookinvest.com's Hot 10 list for September 13th, 2019. I'm Dino. I'm here with John Z and Ben S. Everyone make sure to check out the new Simple Man, aka Mr. Bolo, on the Hot Cold List show at Simple Man's Comics on YouTube. All right, guys, let's get it started. All
right, guys. I am excited about this list. It is like Ben S. looked into my heart and found some joy. Starting out with the first honorable mention is a LB Cole cover. A little less prominent of one than some of them, but I do love the coloring with the blue and the purple. His coloring is just, I don't know, it makes it pop. This is Popular Teenagers number 15. Lots of LB Cole. Horror has been popular for a while, and his romance covers have been just following in stride.
Yeah, I figured this romance cover or this romance book would pique your interest, Z. But yeah, it kind of made the list this week. Again, we always talk about what guide is on these golden age, and it's kind of a lot of times it's outdated, and you don't really know exactly what an actual guide value is on it. But some of these books are just really hard to find, so when they actually come up for auction, they just blow the guide kind of out of the water. And this one did, where a 5.0 sold this week for $7.50, when guide is only about $75 on this book in that grade. So
yeah, I think the guide is slowly catching up to pre-code horror and some of the more popular ones, but romance I think is a little behind. And you probably are more likely to find a few things sneaking by if you find a shop that's not up to date.
Yeah, and I think that's just a good bit of advice on some of these, because there's so few sales out there, and really a lot of these stores, they don't really know what to sell them at. So kind of have that in the back of your mind, even on a mid grade like this. If you can get it for even double what Overstreet prices it at, you can still make quite a bit of money off of these. So keep that in the back of your head.
Absolutely. Moving on to the other honorable mention, another one that I'm a big fan of, Venom Volume 4, number 18, the 1 in 25 Patrick Zurcher Codex variant. Big fan of Patrick Zurcher's. Pretty nice looking cover. We expect it to be a bit of a mover because everything Venom Carnage is on fire, but it's moving at $30, just a little bit above ratio, so not quite enough to probably break the top 10, but something to watch.
Yeah, it was, this was kind of a slow week in general for new books. And so this was kind of thought of as, hey, this is going to be the hot book of the week. And I guess technically it kind of is, because a lot of these 1 in 25s, they come out only selling for $10 or $15, so it is getting above ratio, but it's not super hot, which is kind of why it fell into this honorable mention section.
All right, we're going to hit the top 10, and coming in at number 10 of all books to choose at number 10, Ben, I don't always question you, but this is a weird one for you. Batman number 1, the OG number 1, first appearance of the Joker. A CBCS 7.5 sold for a cool $250,000. This was Comic Connect that had this one go?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty solid price for this book. I mean, it doesn't come up often, and this is a really high grade copy relative to the census. So good price. I don't even know how to talk about it because this part of the market is not even playing the same game we are.
No, what's funny about the list on a weekly basis is some weeks, there's gonna be a 9 out of 10 books or variants, and people aren't happy, and then they're like, hey, you should have a bunch of keys on there.
Yeah, 15 should be on there.
Yeah, they should be on there. And so then when I do put something on here, they're like, oh, come on, this is always a hot book. Well, of course it is. Same thing with Incredible Hulk 181. I mean, there's certain books that are just mega keys that are never, and honestly, the only point is that this was a major sale for a big dollar. This is not it's not the first Batman, it's the first Joker. And I think on on Comic Connect, they did make a little note that, hey, the Joker movie, has been screened. Everybody thinks that Joaquin Phoenix is going to be up for an Oscar. I don't necessarily, and I kind of put this in the list as I don't know if, this extra Joker attention, because this is the first appearance of Joker, if that,
I don't think it played into this one. I think this was purely a book this nice doesn't come up that often.
Is it a record setter for 7.5?
As far as I could find.
Okay.
I mean,
CBCS a little tough to tell, but yeah.
CBCS is a little harder to track.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, would it have brought more if it was a CGC 7.5? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that it matters in that type of book, man. Honestly, that stuff's out of our range. Just want to mention for all our viewers, we're going to give away a book this week, as we do every week. So make sure you're commenting on the original article on the Comic Book Invest website. We'll announce what book it is later in the list, because it is a book on the list this week. One of my personal favorites. So we'll get there. If those of you that know me well probably can guess.
Yeah, we've done it every week. We've started since we started doing the Hot 10 here. We've been giving away books, so you should know sometime between 5 and 6 on Fridays until our show on at 11:30. You got a nice little 5-hour window there. Put a comment in.
Ask some questions. We'd love to answer some questions about the list.
Absolutely, you win free stuff. I'd always be down with that.
All right, number 9. This is a book that pops up and down the Hot 10 list every couple of months, or a couple times a year at least. Harbinger number 1, volume 1. News is that Paramount picked this up this week, which is odd because last we knew Sony had the rights to this and Bloodshot, which Bloodshot is still in production, ready to release. Honestly, I don't know why this one spiked, because to me that feels like a sign of not good, but who knows anymore. But I mean, Jumpin' Studios seems like a concerning move.
Yeah, the Valiant stuff just doesn't make much sense. And I think Coy kind of made a point. It was like, why is this $1,000 book? It's not super duper rare. It's not super rare in that high grade. That Black Solar, yeah, I can see that. I mean, that one's hard to get a 9.8 in, but this one's not terribly hard to get.
It's not super rare. It's still rare enough for a book this age and that group, and it was hot. The big issue is if you got some rookie pressers or people not know what they're doing, it's got that coupon insert in there that can be removed, also can cause some problems on pressing and leave indents you don't want. And the final thing is it's one of the worst books because of the cover quality for spine split. So I've seen a lot of books that could be 9.8s get ruined by a spine split. I do recall a few years ago seeing one on eBay that says looks 9.8, used to be 9.8, now 2.0, because enough times resubmitting for signatures, I had about 5 or 6 signatures on it. It went to a 2.0 because it split along the way. So just be cautious on that one.
And I'll add to that for people who are new to this is that the coupon will, if it's cut out, will get you a green label. So if you think you're going to get something else, you'll be sorely mistaken.
Finally, a variant. Number 8 on the list. House of X, number 4, the Molina variant. Jonathan Hickman is telling quite a story here. It is selling for $15 to $20 out the gate. Seems to be tied to all the other connecting cover variants doing very well. Not sure exactly why the world hasn't caught up and the market hasn't caught up and kind of flooded it yet. But, it's a good book to, I guess, pick up if you can find it and get a nice little flip on this bad boy.
Yeah, these House of X, Powers of X, I mean, they're coming out, really fast, and everybody seems to be who's reading it seems to be loving the story. Well, that's great. It's not translating into the incentive variants. Theirs are selling below ratio. I'm not sure what the pull of these connecting variants are, but they all seem to be doing well. And this is just kind of following in that same path. So I don't know if somebody can tell me why are they they just are they harder to get? I mean, I think they're just tied to like previous month's orders or something like that, and then you could order as many as you wanted. So I don't understand.
Well, I will say I like Molina. It's not what I would call his best work, but I do like the composition of his cover. I do like, the characters are great. It's a nice layout. It brings back some memories of the X-Men greatness. So that is a plus.
I guess maybe this is just me, but what do you do with connecting covers? I mean, how do you display them to make them look like the full picture?
I don't know that you can. I mean, you can't grade them and do that. So you definitely would have to do them raw and put them in bags and boards and do some kind of display. But you can't get a grading company to do them backwards. I've had some discussions about this.
I did see one guy. He had connecting covers at Charlotte Comic Con I went to, and he actually had Clayton Crane sign every color, like did an expansive signature with different colors over every connecting cover. So you put them together, and it's like a big signature. So that's a kind of a cool idea I've never seen before.
I've seen people frame it like split. So like they put it in an actual frame, not graded anything, and just do like a panoramic view. More on like sketch covers. I've not seen it too much on originals, but you could make something cool. It's gonna be 8 feet long by the end of this thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, a pretty cover though. I'm not gonna complain about that. Moving on to number 7, an ash can. Undiscovered Country is picking up some steam. Another Scott Snyder story. Still not even released yet, but the ash can has been moving. It was 25. It's been 40 and 50. Dropped down 25. Now back at 40, 60. This guy seems to be picking up some steam prior to release. So the ash can may be the book to get.
Yeah, and I think I heard today that it was picked up, even though the series is not even, it doesn't come out until what, October, November, or something like that.
I think November I read.
Yeah, so that it actually did get picked up as an option to be like an ongoing. I don't remember if it was movie or series. So somebody has picked it up. It's an interesting concept of a story. I have a feeling that it might be slightly political, but it does.
You don't say.
Yeah, that it does, but it does sound like an interesting concept. So for those who don't really know anything about the book, it's kind of basically the storyline is we shut our borders down for 20 years. Is that what it was? Something like that, and let nobody in, nobody out of the United States. So basically, kind of just took us off the grid, and then people started getting out or something like that, and that's what the kind of the story is about. So does sound interesting. I do like Scott Snyder as a writer, so
it feels made for a movie, a show, a TV. I mean, it's the Scott Snyder doing Mark Millar, basically. It feels like.
I will say that if you are planning on getting the number 1 when it does come out, I have a feeling there are going to be a truckload of those out there. So I can't see that you're going to make any money off of the actual number 1.
Could be an Outcast 1 type
right.
scenario. Just too many copies to make any real money. You might flip them for $10, but it might take you forever.
Right.
All right, moving on to another repeater on the list that has been up a few times, Young Avengers number 1. Big thing with this one is the first appearance of Kate Bishop, and there was some casting news for the Disney Plus show of Haley Steinfeld. So the prices have kind of moved. You said the 9896 has been stable, but the raws seem to have jumped a bit to the 70-80 range. So, I mean, this book been on Specker's radar forever and just kind of keeps moving up. I don't think it's a bad book to buy even now. It just keeps going.
Yeah, and it's the Wizard World is the black and white, and it's the black and white looks terrible in my opinion, but those 9/8 are like around 400 ish.
Isn't the Wizard World the one that did the 9.5 originally?
I'm not 100% sure.
There was a special grading thing at the event, and it was all 9.5s, but people have been cracking them and pulling them out and getting 9.6s, 9.8s. But just a weird little promotional thing. So if you happen to see them listed, that those ones are actually graded at the show.
Oh, interesting. I was not aware of that, but yeah, I think it's actually, I like the casting of Haley Steinfeld. I think I liked her. Unfortunately, I'll say it. I liked her in Pitch Perfect. I thought that she was. I thought that was a good movie, and I thought she did well in it. So
we'll just have to see if the world cares about Hawkeye #2.
Question from the chat real quick. Are the Young Avengers 1 director's cut any rarer or more collectible like second prints? Anybody can know?
They are later prints. Marvel did some director's cuts. I don't think they're still doing them, but some of the storylines, I know Young Avengers was one. The Illuminati did one. They added some extra material. I have not seen them get any premiums as of yet. It doesn't mean they won't, but for the most part, people have stayed away from them. And I don't know the print run numbers on them, so I apologize on that.
Yeah, and how far after did those actually come out? Those director's cuts, like several months?
I think so.
There was definitely extra material added and things like that, so they weren't right away. I think that one's the one that's got a partial sketch, if I'm not mistaken. The bottom's a sketch, maybe. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, so looking at prices on MCS, the director's cut, it looks like is 9/8 they've got listed at 300, and for the Young Avenger, for the regular one, they got 9/8 listed at 350. So not a whole lot of difference in price, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're selling though.
Doesn't mean they're selling.
I don't think I would buy a director's cut. If you can find them in $1, buy them. But I would not invest in the director's cut. I don't think it doesn't have a unique enough cover. It's just a different coloring pattern, which does not generally yield high results. Usually the second prints with a unique cover are where things go. Jump into number 5, which is actually our giveaway book of the week, because for those of you who don't know, I am a huge Crow fan, and I am just excited that Ben has put a Crow book on the list. I didn't even realize why it was on there. For those of you that don't know, this book got the first actual image of the Crow in a comic. There's actually a predated image in some promotional material, but Dino, if you'll show the back cover, this is on the back cover of Dead World 10. There is an actual full page Crow image, not quite as iconic as Crow 1. And we did not put it on the images I apologize. I'm gonna throw it on the screen quick. There is a standard cover and the mature cover. So if you're in the bins digging, look for both of these. 2 different versions, both have the same back cover. I am giving away a copy of the mature cover, which is the one we highlighted on the list. So anybody that commented on the thread on the original Comic Book Invest list today is eligible. We'll pick a winner before number 1. But love this book. First official images of the Crow in a comic book. Fun book. Been on Specker's radar a really long time. So if you find this in a bin, I will count you as very lucky. Crow fans are pretty hardcore, and I have not seen one out in the wild in a really long time. Not as popular as Caliber Presents 1 or Crow #1, but still a great one to have. If you can find it in 9.6, 9.8, they do sell at quite a premium. Finding them in kind of average grade to low near mint, they sell $60-80 all day though. So
what I think is cool about once you actually get them graded is then you can actually display the back cover when they're sitting in a bag and board. Most people don't even know that that's on the back cover at all, because nobody's pulling them out to see. Now, granted, the front covers are crazy. They're really good covers, but obviously it's the Crow on the back cover that's driving this one.
It does amaze me that Crow got kind of thrown on the back cover. This was an ad, so I mean it doesn't really count. But even in Caliber Presents 1, it's the back cover. If the Crow were the front cover on Caliber Presents 1, it would be 3 times the money it is now.
Yeah,
So it just kind of gets kicked to the side like the stepchild early on. All right, number 4 on the list, and we will apologize. Ben had a little typo early on if you looked at the list. Super Dinosaur number 1 by Robert Kirkman. Blah, 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 blah is what it said originally. So sorry. It appears it was picked up by Amazon, so it's picking up a little heat. The copies on eBay are gone, at least the cheap ones, and now it is listed at $60-$70.
Yeah, I think people are probably fishing for what they're trying to do, but I haven't checked here in the last. I'll check here real quick, but basically all the cheap copies disappeared. Whenever this information came out this afternoon, every single cheap copy went. Now it looks like that one that was listed for 75 did sell. I don't know what it sold for. It sold for best offers. So there's another one that sold for 20. So people are going to buy them.
That's someone I think has been optioned several times, and I don't know. This is an animated series, so who knows how it goes. Truthfully, if you're asking me, if I'm specking on Kirkman, I know it's out of the price range. Invincible's the best book out there after Walking Dead, so we'll see what happens. This character's just kind of a weird one. Might get a little bit of a kind of fringe thing, but who knows? Amazon knocked it out of the park with The Boys, so anything is possible.
That is true. Is this a more of a kids centric book, or is this more adult oriented? I don't know.
I have not read this one, but basing it on Kirkman, I don't think so. He likes the mature subject matter. Okay. I've not actually seen a copy of this one. I've looked for it. I've never actually come across one.
Yeah, I've never seen the book either, so I've not read it. I don't own it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but somebody's ready to jump on all of these as soon as it happens. So
absolutely. Number 3 on the list, Black Panther, 2018. You had volume 7. Somebody said it's volume 8. Different databases seem to list it different. Number 2, second print. The Acuna cover seems to be following the first host, number 3, second print, and this has the first appearance of the Killmonger symbiote. I can't say I've read anything about this series, so I can get the matching of any villain and the symbiotes being a hot book, but I don't know where this is going to show up in media.
Yeah, I think it's just another one of those that, hey, it's a really cool second print cover, and it's got everybody just keeps jumping on anything Venom related, anything symbiote related, and so I have no idea if it's even if this character's even been used in any other issue. I can honestly say I don't know. But it did basically kind of just went from cover price up to $30 and $40, here in the last week. So I would say that if there are other ones out there of these second prints that have these kind of symbiote crossover characters or whatever, I would look for those to jump in price as well.
That's yeah. I just don't know. The other question is, second print, is it in the Walmart packs?
That is a good question, because some people did find that Venom first host in the second print and some of the Walmart packs.
I was at Walmart. I mean, I didn't see it on the front covers today. I mean,
this is definitely a much older book, so I'm just maybe out in back inventory, dead stock, and maybe floating around. I'm going to go ahead and announce the winner of the Dead World one now, because number 2 and number 1, if you haven't read the list online, tie together, and I don't want to break them up. So just looking at the comments, this week was really, really low, fellas. So if you didn't comment, you lost out on a real good chance to win a great book. Going to give it away to J Max Mercury. Not sure your real name. Shoot us an email. Stein, do you have the address? I apologize. I forgot it off the top of my head.
Yeah, Dino's got it.
Yeah, it's CBSI, all one word, and then Flipside together. So CBSI Flipside at gmail.com.
Yeah, so shoot us your address, shoot us the info, and I'll mail that bad boy out to you. Congratulations. It does hurt my heart a little bit, but to give it away when Ben decides to feature one of my favorite characters on a list, I'll let it go. Speaking of that, he's throwing off another character that I have kind of bought big into and am a big fan of. Number 2 on the list is Deadline number 1, first appearance of Tank Girl. This is a pretty hard to find book. I will put a little quotes on this because people are going to put on listings and put on things, look at CGC census, and there's only going to be a handful on there. The reason for that is because CGC was not able to grade UK magazines for a really, really long time. They just didn't fit for years and years. I think there were 2 copies on the census that had been put in old slabs, and they're just too tall. It's much like Warrior magazine, same size, which is the first appearance of Miracle Man, the Modern Miracle Man, as well as V for Vendetta. They were just too big, too tall. If you've ever tried to put this dang thing in anything, it doesn't fit. You almost need a Time Life bag for it. So don't follow the CGC census, but the new slabs, they just kind of have moved from comics to magazines now do fit this one. So you'll see more and more kind of pop up. Doesn't mean it's not rare. It's just not as rare as the census would indicate. So
yeah, just right now they have the highest on the CGC census is an 8.5. So
yeah, I don't know that you're going to find it much higher because you couldn't store the dang thing in anything. Yeah. There are going to be some spine ticks. If somebody pulls a 9.8 out of anywhere, I will be amazed. If it happens, I'll be amazed. If it is, it's some kind of file copy or somebody tied to this magazine. Because
Z's bidding on it. Z's going to bid on it.
Hey,
I will buy the hell out of it.
I do have a question on this. Is it got an actual story like in there?
Yeah. It was a piece of things. It wasn't like the whole magazine dedicated to it. It was just a story within all the others. I'm going to kind of roll into discussion of number 1 because these two fit together so well. You put number 1 as Tank Girl number 1 from 1991, the Dark Horse one. This one is, I know it's an iconic cover. It's not probably something that we would see today, but just the look of it, the purple, the red, it's just an iconic cover. I if you don't see it back there, I apologize. I'm a little far zoomed out. I have a 9.8 on the wall. It is a one of kind of the copper kind of big books of the day. About 29.8s. I won't swear. It might be 22, 23 at this point. Not a lot of them on there. Progression of this character. Deadline number 1 UK magazine came out in 1988. Was the first time they printed stories, and a lot of bidding wars. She actually appeared a lot of other nations before ours. Tank Girl number 1 came out in May. Cover date of May of 91. And then Dark Horse started reprinting some of the Deadline magazine stories in September of 91. So Tank Girl number 1 was the first full-length comic. Deadline 1 was the first comic appearance. If you really, really want to get in the weeds, Jamie Hewitt actually was in college and did a random, just kind of, I'm going to call it a pinup page. It was just an art page in a fanzine in the UK called Adam Tan number 1. I hadn't seen one in forever, and now the news broke just tonight. One was listed. It's at $1,500 or best offer. I have no idea if that's a good price or not because I've never seen one listed. I've read it exists. So good luck to you if you're in the UK and maybe dig around and find some fanzines. That seems to be a very, very hot thing. It's just a 1-page pinup that happened to be there, and he turned it into a story in Deadline.
Interesting.
I spewed a lot of info. I apologize, but this is one I'm pretty passionate about.
Yeah, and for those who are trying to figure out why Tank Girl got hot or whatever, is Margot Robbie.
Oh, geez, I didn't even talk about that. Fail.
Yeah, didn't even talk about it.
Hashtag fail. Why is it popular?
Right. Yeah, she basically is going to produce a new Tank Girl movie. So is she going to star?
You would have to assume. Why would she not?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. So that's the reason for the heat on Tank Girl. I know people like Z. There's a lot of people that have been collecting Tank Girl stuff for a while. But attaching, a major star like her to a project like this brings a lot of outside attention to the comics, which is probably why they're jumping so much.
It is very interesting because Tank Girl's been one of those characters you hear kind of mentioned adjacent to Harley Quinn. She's kind of an anti-female hero, and I've seen dealers kind of mention that females are kind of asking about it, always looking for books, not necessarily the first appearance, but just books. And she's had a pretty solid print run recently. I mean, not high print run, but always being printed, always in works. Titan's been printing. They actually did a 30th anniversary Deadline 1 reprint. Doesn't look enough like the original, so I don't think you should be worried about picking the wrong one. But this character has been one that's kind of been a cult following for a long time, and just a great kind of actress to fall upon.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. As everyone knows, every Friday, we are doing the Hot Top 10 on this. Please like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And as usual, Mondays, we do the podcast for Tales from the Flipside, and it's all spec-related news. Thank you guys for watching. So we'll see you guys next Monday or Friday. Thanks.